Well, hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. I am your host, DBJ. Sorry about the slight delay. I yesterday we had some for me annoying audio issues, so I unplugged everything, plugged it back in. So it's a temporary fix until I physically upgrade my whole system. But that's not why you're here. You're here to talk about tabletop role-playing games, and I'm here to listen to what all of you my co-hosts have to say about it. And I thought we would take the opportunity because we're going to talk about other things, but I thought because I tend to flow positive, I would like us to think about the future of what's happening. I think we're going to have about a year, maybe 2 years of figuring out where we rest in this larger role playing game environment with changes to um, our the overlords at Wizards of the Coast and Dungeons and Dragons, Hasbro, and what their intentions are, and a new virtual tabletop, new gaming systems that are coming online, and how not this isn't strange, but I think the business community doesn't understand the tabletop role playing um, enthusiasm and engine, and how with just a moment's notice people are pulling the trigger on brand new or uh, d&d aside systems already. And I'm thinking, of course, we all want to make our own role-playing game. We all do. Let's be real. We want to be novelists. We want to make movies. We want to make our own role-playing games. We suffer from chronic world builders disease. That's our thing. And it doesn't matter whether you're a player at a single table and you're never on social media, all the way to individuals producing content and publishing and stuff. We're ready to pull the trigger on a lot of things, and all we need is a kicking ass to do it. And thanks Hasbro for kicking a hornet's nest of brilliant, intelligent people who's, I don't know, are interested in a hobby that does nothing but decipher rules, and individuals who are, dare I say, arrogantly tend to be on the higher sides of IQs. Yeah. But I'd like to talk about the future, and I don't mean next week per se. I'm thinking, like, what does a year look like in the third party world? What does a year look like when, like, will there be a huge divide between Dungeons and Dragons loyalists and everyone else? Are we gonna, hey, night of your life? What's up, Mike? Thank you guys very much for being my co-host here. I mean, are we going to see lines drawn, and different sides being uh, leveled against each other? Is this going to be, a Michael Jackson music video, Beat It, and we're, the Sharks and the Jets across each other in a playground and going, you're playing the virtual tabletop from Dungeons and Dragons with their AI DMs, and those over there spending, I don't know, $30 a month or something, or like, ha, you're old folks, you old fogies with your pens and paper, huh? I bet you're still sharpening your pencils and writing on graph paper. Yeah, I don't know. I'm being silly, but, and I'm also waiting for people to get the notification that we've gone live already. But that being the case, yeah, I'd like to look a little bit to the future, and maybe we might look at some articles or broadcasts and things like that are coming about. And this does, I am tangentially affected by this, and I'm a little, I'm less scared. Maybe I'm gonna give it a 1 or 2 out of D10. Fearful, but the rest of it, I'm pretty. Like I said, I'm a relatively positive individual, so I'm looking forward to what the next big thing will be. So yeah, yeah. I like what Mike has to say here. It says, to address the title, will D&D ever be the same? Yes, because D&D is a culture. We were here before 5e will be here if 5e implodes. And I hope, see, I feel that way, and I hope we don't get into arguments over branding issues, right? Because before Hasbro, the big Sauron eye in the sky looked at how much money Dungeons and Dragons was making and could make them. Before that happened, we weren't. We might have been upset about what products were being released, but we weren't upset with the brand, right? We were upset with, come on, guys, you could do better than this, and we were hoping for that. And a lot of yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's I just feel like I just feel like when Mike says, "Will it be the same?" because it's a culture for us. It doesn't matter what Hasbro wants. We're still going to matter. As a matter of fact, I kind of feel like Hasbro, all they really want is a virtual tabletop with everybody using it. The rest of the stuff, I don't think they really care about. Or rather, they only care about it as far as a threat to them. But if they don't look at us as a threat, I don't think they really care. So I don't know. It's weird. It's like, why would they come after us if they really like are they really that scared of people publishing books? I don't think so. Or cosplaying or something. I don't even think they even like I don't think that was considered in their mathematical equation when it comes to money. Because how would they make money off of it, right? But whatever. Anyway, all right. Our co-hosts are being very prolific over here. So Mike continues to go on to say, and by the way, hello everyone. I know it's not necessarily morning for everyone, but those of us that are in the States, yeah, it's hella early. So anyway, Mike says in a year, Paizo will double its playership. Yeah, in a year, at least 5 new systems. Okay, this is future. Let's take a look at this. In a year, Paizo will double its playership. I'm almost going to say it's going to go over that. I agree with you. I think there are so many people flocking over to to Pathfinder. There's a gentleman channel known as D4, and all he does is like complex optimized builds, and he has this really like somber, it's a very ASMR type voice where he speaks very low, but it's like high fidelity. Anyway, it's very calming. um I'm not a mechanical person, but I like the tone of his voice. Anyway, in a year, Pies will double its playership. I think I I can I think with great certainty that's going to happen. I might even say it might go over that. In a year, at least 5 new systems will be born. Hell's yes. Hell's yes. MCDM is going to make their own system. Black Flag, boom. Cobalt Press stuck their flag down. They're going to make a system. There's a couple others that are out there that already are like, yeah, we're going to pull the trigger and have our own system. I'm going to actually talk about Level Up 5e. It Level Up Advanced 5th Edition, or A5e for N World, because I'm part of that, and what they plan on doing. In a year, CAO will be unemployed, and an online article will say D&D, what went wrong. Ooh, ouch. CAO will be unemployed, and an online article will say D&D, what went wrong. Yeah, I think the fact that like the financial world, like Forbes and whatnot, I think it's going to be. I could imagine them being used. This example being used as like what not to do. Um, yeah. like Mike's like, write that shit down. I stand by it. I don't think you're too far off. I don't think so at all. I think you're spot on. Yeah, I could see this being taught in schools. Like, hey, if you're a company, you have marketing. Here's what you don't want to do to your base. Night of Your Life says, I will handle this by just playing whatever the GM plays and expecting the same when I GM. You know what? This might be a new dawn of players where players are obligated to play the games the GMs have in front of them. And the players are like, fine, I'll play a modern D&D, fantasy game, even though I like I like medieval stuff. I'll play modern day. I'll take my longsword on the subway, right? Oh man, yeah. Zamara's like, obviously, most people are pulling the trigger on weapons that were already loaded. Hell yeah, yeah. What is it? Hope for the best, expect the worst. I am sure Black Flag is a game that was Kobold's homebrew, and all they're doing is cleaning it up. I I don't think it's a cynical view. I don't. I think you could delete that. I think they already listen. These individuals were already playing the games to begin with, and I can. All of us look at game system, fifth edition and on, and look at it and go, you know what? This is how I would do it. And it's old bones, right? Hit points are old bones, armor class. I mean, games from the 80s and 90s cleaned up armor class, hit points, spell systems, getting rid of classes in general. Those are old bones. When you look at other games, they don't use any of that. Yeah, and Mike answered Z, like there's zero chance Black Flag wasn't already in early development. Oh hell yeah, hell yeah. It listen, even as an aside, even if they didn't plan on it, of course. How did Hasbro not know this? Oh, duh, they didn't bother looking at their own fan base. Mm-mm-mm-mm. But listen, all it takes, like I think Z is speaking for the rest of us. Says, heck, even my system was in development for over a year, even more. Even it was just super bare bones, just math equations, small notes, and I I think we in the RPG community all have always had that in the back of our heads. New monsters, new ways to look at classes, how I would redo spells or feats, or hey, I have this great idea for a science fiction system, or I sure did love Dresden Files and a modern day magic, but how would I do it, you know? And I think that's been in the back of our heads. Now, if you had staff, company, time, and a financial imperative to come up with your own system, you'd be pulling out notes like, click, 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 let's put this right, let's get this going, right? Ooh, ouch, ooh. Oh, you guys are getting ahead of me, but okay. So Mike says an optimist says a glass is half full. That's me. Pessimist says a glass is half empty. A PC blames the DM for making a glass with the wrong CR. Yeah, yeah, I know. It's just I'm not big into the we need to balance an encounter. I'm just like, you need to maybe you should play better. That's my thing. If your ass is taking swords and running up against dragons and stuff at first level, that's your own damn fault, right? With plenty of foreshadowing, of course. Pathfinder overtook. Let's see. Okay, so J Dub says Pathfinder overtook D&D 4E, and as unpopular as 4E was, this current dumpster fire is even more unpopular. Yeah, I mean, listen, my standard is let's take a look at history and see how it applies today. I know some people are panicked about fifth edition, like, should I follow it? Shouldn't I follow it? I don't know. But like Mike said earlier, Dungeons and Dragons is a culture. It doesn't matter what WotC does. We're going to keep playing the game that we want to play, and then they're going to have to come back to us because we we may not hold the high ground in terms of monetary influence and even maybe even publicity, but man, we sure got the energy. I think we've got more energy than they do because I don't feel like they're trying to be savvy now, but it's too late. They already smacked us in the face, put a gun on the table, and said, "Sign this." And now they're trying to move the gun away, and they're trying to be good cop now. And it's like, yeah, we've seen this before. And fourth edition is a good example of that. They a new gaming license came out with fourth edition, which is why you see very few things being written about it. And yeah, yeah, yeah. Ooh, yeah. Bronze Age. All right. Yeah, like Mike says, my current table is a group of DMs who take turns running games. After the current campaign finishes, there's talk of switching to Cyberpunk. Yes, uh, ooh, Cyberpunk, Cyborg from Morkborg. There's Shadowrun, things like that. Cyberpunk's real easy to get into as well. None of the magic stuff in it, none of the fantasy accoutrement involved in it. But yeah, if you want to fight the system and be bad guys, great system to use. Easy death too. Get players used to that part. Zamar says, I'm calling this the Bronze Age of TTRPGs. Okay, we are going to have a huge boom of systems again. I agree. It's going to be great. We will see new ideas. Sadly, most of the great ideas will die on the vine unseen. That's one of the things I hope doesn't happen, because it can be very easy for us to go, like, get a lot of positive feedback in a short amount of time that fuels us, and then have that feedback drop out. Meaning, like, let's say I'm calling up a fictional number. Let's say we see 25 new game systems arrive, but we only pick 3 of them. So what happens to the others that had great ideas, but no one waters them to see them take root and grow, right? I mean, if we all flock to the big, I'm going to call them the big 3, even though I don't know which 3 they are. Like, only let's say there's only Black Flag, um, Level Up 5e because it already exists as a starting point, and Pathfinder Second Edition, right? Or anything from Paizo. So let's say we run to them. Well, what happens to everyone else? Like, I'm going to be part of a I'm going to be a consultant on Cool Name Goes Here, which is going to be an independent game, 5e compatible, that people can use and do on their own. It's going to be for free. Will that, I'll promote it because I'm part of it, but will that latch on? I don't know. you know. See, and Drew has the same idea that a lot of people do. Like, he says, I wish my own system, and I'm reading what you have to say here, co-host, but it comes from me as well, right? Like, I feel like it's speaking to me, where you say, I wish my own system would be ready to be launched as well. Not sure if I could profit though, since it's very much into the narrative niche. I don't think that's going to be your problem. I think there's a lot of there would be no reason for Fate to have made itself what it is, and even Fate isn't really well known, right? Evil Hat Games isn't the biggest entity out there, and it's been around for quite a while. I don't think the narrative part of it is the problem. I think it's we're going to get shotgun blasted with new systems, and it'll be like development of them, promoting them. Will we see a lot more polygamists? Will we see new relationships with our role playing games? Like, will content creators, instead of identifying themselves with Dungeons and Dragons up in the corner and the titles of their, say, videos or something, will they do 3 games, right? Or I've heard a lot of the people out there rebranding themselves: Dungeon Dudes, Dungeon Craft, um, D4, a bunch of other people that have branded themselves in Dungeons and Dragons, going, yeah, once a week or twice a week or 3 times a month or whatever, every Saturday or something like that, we're going to spotlight a new game system. Hopefully they'll stick with it. Yeah, the night of your life is like, yeah, Wizards Coast is doing a Games Workshop classic stab back. Yeah, yeah. Because what did they start out? They started by doing that to the Magic the Gathering people, and for some reason, I don't know how true this is. I heard like Magic the Gathering is like a $1 billion industry unto itself. I'm like, wow. Mike talked about Games Workshop. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah, I haven't kept up with the drama over at Games Workshop, but I from what I hear, it's like a microcosmos of what's happening with Wizards of the Coast. As he says, the Games Workshop customer satisfaction special. It did well for them trying to get everyone to watch their new videos on their platform they developed. Yeah. 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 Crazy, crazy. MG says, what Hasbro has forgotten is that they need us, not the other way around. If we go elsewhere, Hasbro is high and dry. I think they think they're going to pull from the multi-billion-dollar video game industry and get us to flow over. But they didn't even look at their own products, right? There's not much crossover between Magic the Gathering and their role-playing games. As much money as they're making off of Magic the Gathering, which they shot themselves in the foot with that, with the overproduction and all. Anyway, but there's some crossover with their own products, but not much. You don't see. They haven't even really tried to push Magic the Gathering and into role playing. I mean, they tried to come up with the setting materials that would be used for tabletop role players to play in the worlds of Magic the Gathering. But they put out like basically they were UAs, they were like Unearthed Arcana style, maybe 10 to 12 pages, except for they did print the physical book, Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, which I think is an excellent book. I thought they would go back and retroactively maybe grab a bunch, you know, a couple of 5 or 6 of the Magic Gathering card settings, and then they could put them out in like maybe a single book where you have like each chapter would be. But yeah, that's me. That's but they haven't done that. So I think they're going to pull from the video game industry, and I don't think they know it that well. I don't think they understand that we're the ones that are going to promote their product, which they could have done anyway. They anyway, yeah. I Wow. There's too many choices today. I think they fail to realize we've got too many choices. We don't need them as much as they think we need them. Zamar says, I agree with Mike. Yeah, shoot, every company needs their customers. It's just that they also need blind loyalty and customer apathy more. How do you brand that? We need to make our customers not just hate us or love us. We need them to be to not feel anything for our product. Yay! Yeah. We need them to feel to us like people feel about unbranded toilet paper, off-brand toilet paper, right? Yeah, no opinion whatsoever. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Z. Mm-mm-mm. That is how they make most of their profits. You know, there are other options. They just don't care. Yeah. Charmin did well before, so you just buy more of that. Yep. Yep. All right, Drew. You got it. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah. 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 Yes. And the audio sounds better. I unplugged everything. Re. You know, didn't use any. I'm going to call it. I'll call it my third party products. I took all of that out, resituated things. I need a new light because I had a USB light and light setup. You know the little light rings and stuff to get. So I'm a little bit in darkness, but it's whatever. You guys are in a closet, so where my hands are at is the edge of the closet, and if I put my hands further in, you're in one of these sliding door closets. My computer is hidden away during the day, so yeah. Mm-mm-mm. Truden says. Mm-mm-mm. So Drew says, regarding my system, I think my approach is at least rather unique since I abandoned pretty much all the ableism that most games on the market go for. I think we're going to talk about that next week as well when we get into m- games that I think best, my favorite games that best emulate multiculturalism, and I think there's a split here talking about the ableism and things like that. Uh, oh, and I read an article where someone mentioned that the new OGL they're trying to push actually makes it more difficult for people with disabilities because legally they can't do things that allow people with disabilities to play the game. And I was like, ooh, ouch. They were talking about inclusion. And it's like, yeah, sometimes people with disabilities need tools that legally they would be prevented from creating digitally to get them to use the game. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize that. Damn. Yeah, yeah, yeah. In the future. All right. Um, mm, 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 mm. Just look at some co-host comments here. Wow. Okay, okay. Um, Z says Wizard sells what you took the time to learn. When the outrage and drama burns itself, most will go back to their old horse or something similar. If not Charmin, another brand of the same. Yeah, I agree with that. I think they're I mean, that's a bias we as human beings have, right? Like we like comfort. We, this is a strange offset, but this makes sense. So follow me on this. Uh, I, After feeding the cats in the morning, I will actually go on YouTube and play videos for cats to watch. And you hear like the sounds and the birds, and they eat things and stuff, and the cat just look up at it, and I can see in their eyes they're kind of like entranced by it. But what happens is you'll see in the videos where the person doing these like 4K and 8K videos of nature will put out like seeds and all kinds of stuff, nuts and berries and whatnot for the animals to eat, the squirrels and the birds. And you'll see them flock to one side because when one or two of the animals start to eat, let's say a flock of birds, the other birds won't go to the other food because they see safety with that group, so they'll flock to that group. And part of that might be it's like a comfort thing. So I can see some people going, well, I don't really want to go back to fifth edition, and they look around at everybody else because of the embarrassment. And then when everything dies down, they go right back to WoTC and they start trying to play and buy their products and play their game and stuff when we aren't being as judgmental against them. And like I'm saying that as a in a larger whole rather than going like because I don't care. I don't really care if someone buys their products or not. You have to make your own decision on that. But because I'm not going to judge somebody on the decisions they make. I can't make your financial decisions or your fun decisions on how much fun you're going to have. I'm not going to judge you on what kind of ice cream you scoop, even if we're all up in arms against where vanilla bean comes from. I'm not going to judge you on your vanilla ice cream choice. Night of your life says, which I love that 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 name. It is always a headache for a Games Workshop to learn a new system. Time and cost. Yeah, yeah. It costs. So people are thinking about this and feeling a bit overwhelmed. It will pass, and you will carry on playing RPGs. I agree. I agree in the future that we'll carry on. I don't know if this is so. I'm going to ask this of you guys, right? Like, is it easier if you had a choice? You had to spend 60 American dollars to buy a new game system. Are you more willing to spend that $60 to buy a game system that is utterly different than what you already know? Like instead of fantasy, would you rather spend that on modern or sci-fi or some like weird dreamscape that uses a dice pool instead of a D20, like something completely out of left field, or a game that very much replicates what you're already playing, but it's tweaked differently, right? Because that's going to be the thing, right? Like, will people move the Black Flag as a D&D aside, much like people are moving over the Pathfinder, or is it the popularity of the title? Right? I don't know. Yeah. John Wright talks about, ooh, you guys popped ahead of me. John Wright says, I've never liked Magic the Gathering, even before WotC bought D&D. I kind of faded away from it too pretty early on, as it is a pay to win system by design. Yeah, it is. If you're rich, you can afford to buy a gazillion packs, then you can Frankenstein an unbeatable deck. Yeah, yeah. Maybe they want to make Dungeons and Dragons the same way, a pay to win, pay pay to level up. Yeah. In the future, so Death's Angel Shadow says in the future, I think we'll see a lot of settings and adventures that will be system agnostic or cross compatible with multiple systems. Just as an example, just as an aside, I normally don't like to point people out specifically, but Drew, I saw your comment up there, so I will make a mental note of your of specificity. Let's put it that way. I saw it and I'm going to read it. Yeah, like I said, yep, yep. See, here's another thing. Okay, so because we're going to talk about this next week. Yeah, Alex says I am not in the closet. I'm straight. God damn it. Where's the WotC morality police when you need them? Yeah. See here. Yeah, that's. I don't think the morality clause is. Oh, how do I, wow. It's a landmine that puts its tendril in areas that don't apply, and without the ability, because listen, big business can be very gun shy about certain things, right? It's not about, it won't, the morality clause isn't about morality at all. What it is, it's about being able to control the narrative. So if someone produces a product that WotC feels makes their brand look bad, and the public reacts to it, they want to have the ability to pull the gun, get rid of it, bam, shoot it in the head, and kill it before it becomes a viral thing. Now, it doesn't matter because what's happening is what it's about the context, right? For example, uh, I know YouTube's going to ding me on even saying these words, but slavery has been a part of Dungeons and Dragons since the beginning of time, right? Because many monsters were known to do that, especially the drow elves, right? That was part and parcel of some of the drow behavior. They would capture people from they would go up from the the dark world in the subterranean realms, and they would assault people on the surface and bring them back down into, and our Salvatore has books that where some major characters were imprisoned and enslaved, and they use them in battle games and send them out as troops and all this kind of stuff, and it's part of the game, but it's the context, right? You guys have known how I feel about this. It's not the words, it's the catharsis of being able, because the whole point of having those things in games is for us to punch them in the throat, right? Evil creatures do evil things, beings do evil things. We come in and we punch them in the throat. We roll characters and we go, oh, they, they are immoral, we're going to kill them. And it's like, well, how do you how are they going to judge our material if they just read it and don't look at the context of it? Right? That's how I look at it. Um, I didn't even read this comment, but I'm going to read it out now. So Zamar says, so many other people making game systems, TBJ, think you would be willing to make a subsection for the Discord dedicated to TTRPG creation talk? Hell yeah. I want us creatives to be able to cross pollinate. Okay. Uh, okay. You know what? I really need to start pushing that. I don't do that at all. You first of all, you're absolutely creative. Correct. I'll put this up there, and yes, I'll do that when we get off the stream. I don't want to do that right now. Or um, anyone who has the ability to create a dead man, there's a little hint there, can go into the Discord and create that. Perfectly fine. Done. 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 And thank you for reminding me. I That's why I have co-hosts. Oh, oh, Night of Your okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes. You talking about GM, not GW. Yeah, not Games Workshop. You meant Game Master. Yeah, okay, no problem. Oily right. Let's see. Okay, here's a prediction. Wizards of the Coast. And Ollie Wright. All right, Odub. Odub says Wizards of the Coast are about to go from being the dominant company in the category, TTRPGs, to being an inexperienced beginner in a much bigger category, video games. Ooh, burn. Yeah, yeah. I suspect Blizzard's Riot Games, etc., will win that. Yeah, but here's what happens when you chase the dollar, right? It's oh, video games is a multi-billion-dollar industry. That's what we're going to do. And here's the weird thing. They could have still done it without affecting everything else. If they made a really good platform that blends virtual tabletop with MMOs and we really loved it, we would have promoted it and played it. It didn't require burning down something else to do it. That's very strange there, Odub. Which I agree with you. Yeah, it's wow. Mm-mm-mm. Hmm. Okay, so I made the comment of would you spend would we be willing or in your desire to spend money, if you had some extra money, would you spend a money on a game that's just an aside of what you're already playing? Like if you're playing 5th edition and you're happy with it, would you be comfortable just switching to a game that's kind of similar to it but not quite, or something completely out of left field? Because with new systems being 5th edition compatible, but still not using SRD material, not breaking the OGL, not being legally identifiable, um, being able to navigate that thread, are we going to see those systems flourish or just be ignored because they're like, well, I already have the 5th edition books and they're not getting any more money from me. I'm just going to sit where I'm at, right? So, anyway, Zabara says, I would spend it on something completely new. That's why I have as many systems as I do. See, that's where I fall. Um, I tend not to want to buy new game systems that are just more fantasy unless it really has something to say. All right. Death Angel's Shadow says, for all their talk about diversity and inclusion, we sure as heck were pretty diverse and inclusive back in the 80s and 90s. We nerds tended to stick together despite other differences. We sure did. And as a matter of fact, when I go into next month, you're going to see that I'm going to pull out games from the 80s and 90s that were already doing it. I think today the problem is it's the sales of it, not the and the implementation, not the act of doing a thing, right? Like today, it would be like it it's like the idea of announcing to the world that you're going to be I'm going to be this good person and I'm going to announce it to the world instead of just doing it and letting it lie where it lays, right? Um, and I think more people are annoyed about the sale of the thing than the thing actually happening, but maybe that's just me. Um, Although what I find strange are people policing other people's imaginations. I don't under That's the one thing that if I have to have an annoyance in a tabletop RPG gaming world is like, why are people concerned about other people's imagination, right? Like it's like the idea of like, why are people concerned about other people's genitalia and what they do with it? Like that's I find that very odd. Like why would you be concerned about somebody else's genitalia? Like unless there's something wrong with you. It would, oh man. Oh, anyway, yeah, yeah. I was making an analogy. Like, Drudenfa says, interesting picture of the flock of birds, like schools of fish or other herd behavior. People are like that too, and also love to form crowds. We do, and there's nothing wrong. I, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. There's safety in numbers, and we are social creatures, so we like to be embraced in the tribe, right? I think it's just the idea of recognizing that we do it is the issue, and some people may not recognize that they're doing it. And it since we get tribal, sometimes we can pick up the spears and start pointing them at other people. Zamara mentions, like, what would a pay to win TTRPG even look like? It's a game with no true win conditions. So it's primed for infinite spending, but it's very personally a story based, so win conditions are personal. Yes. Okay, so without much thought off the top of my head, I could see people winning by them. Is it possible that they could do a paywall to achieve certain levels? Possibly. Maybe there are certain character options. They could do that, like, hey, to I don't know, to fight the werewolf, you need a silvered weapon. Can we put that behind a paywall for you to try to push your way through to another level of the game or something? I don't know. I that'd be effed up, but could they do that? I think on another hand, it could be personalization, like the prototypical. Let me tell you about my character. Maybe they might put up forums to let people see their characters and judge them. And so to get on those forums, they could be behind paywalls. Who, my character has all the greatest skins and magic items that your character doesn't. And so my character looks cooler than everyone else's. And maybe people, there's a little bit of an an ascendance kind of thing. I don't know. I don't know, Z. Top of my head. I don't know. You guys are so far ahead of me. Yeah. Oops. Uh, there we go. Yeah, customizations are going to be a big thing. I definitely agree with the customization part. Trying to keep up with you guys in the chat. Yeah. Oh, you want that in purple? That'll be 4.99. Yeah, yeah, and I could see them even doing a meta currency. Like, you spend 4.99 to get gold coins, and the gold coins pay for things, but it's not money for money, dollar for dollar, American dollar for American dollar. Like, it might be they you might be able to pay 4.99 for 60 gold coins, so it divorces the real amount of money you're paying from what you're paying for in the game, so you never feel like, man, that's another 20 bucks. All you see is 750 gold coins making a sound effect and spilling into your character's chest or something like that. Maybe I shouldn't be saying this out loud. It might steal that idea. Oh man, let me go back to some of these other concerns. There's Ollie, right? Hmm. My biggest concern is that Wizards of the Coast will start designing the rules to benefit a pay to play virtual tabletop, not a tabletop RPG. Yeah, meaning the core rules get optimized in a direction that's not good for tabletop play. I think the new one D&D playtest is probably going that way, which is weird because why ask people to help design a thing that you already know is going to be designed for something that's not going to be used for the way people are helping you design it. If they didn't tell us they were designing it for a virtual tabletop, but I could see that. Anyway, to continue with Odub's comment, designers told to design rules that maximize micropayments rather than design rules that make play at the table more fun. Oof, oof, ow, yes, yes. I definitely agree. I could see that. I could see that being an issue because you go, wait a minute, my character should level up at this point, but in a virtual tabletop it makes sense, but it wouldn't make sense at the table. Yeah, John Wright says next WotC will add loot boxes that may or may not give your characters gear they need and can use, which will cost in-game credits that you can pay for with real money. That's what I was thinking, right? Like, you earn these credits, and there's something known. this is a real study that uh, there's a gambler's high. Okay, so a real study that they did with animals that works with human beings, which is why casinos work, is that animals press a button and food comes out. Animals press a button, food comes out. So it's very predictable. Press the button once, food comes out. They changed, they made it predictable, but they changed how many times you press the button. If the animal presses the button 3 times, and I don't know if this was monkeys or rats or something, but anyway, doesn't really matter. Birds, press it 3 times, food comes out. Press it 3 times, food comes out. So the animals never really overfed themselves because they knew where the food was coming from. If I press it 3 times, food spills out. I eat the food. I walk away, go take a nap, run on the running thing, whatever. Drink some water, dig down in the paper or something, whatever. Right? Push the ball around the cage. Oh, I'm hungry again. 1, 2, 3, get food. That's not very exciting. What happened was animals would fight each other and sit in front of the randomized button. So they did this exact same test where they randomized how many times you needed to press the button to get food. And so the animals would sit in front of it and keep pressing it to hope to get food because they never knew how many times they need to press it. And that's what happens in casinos. And they could do that to us in oh man, all you guys get all the comments. Wow. Let's see if I could put this up here. Let's see if the new messages will come in. I'm going to try to display the messages beside me. All right. You guys jumped so far ahead of me, and I can't spread it out. Yep, micro. Yeah, you guys are throwing out a ton of good things. Customization is going to be a big thing. Guess pay to play would be better. Pay to play would be the better wording. They both mean the same to me because pay to win never actually guaranteed winning, just wanting to play more. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Could you imagine um, a sub genre of job where all you do is run through the game to level up characters and then you sell them off? That would be hilarious. There are people making like $80,000 a year in content by playing through characters, putting them up maybe on their Patreons that people could buy them to play in a Dungeons and Dragons VTT. Anyway, Alex says I feel D&D's lack of DMs issue is an issue WotC created. Yep, by pushing out books as rules light as 5e is. Sure, the players like it, but the DM is left having to flesh out all the things they left out. Not only do I agree with that, I also think they stopped supporting dungeon masters, like for balancing games, for combat encounters, for they dumped out a ton of player options and didn't balance them against DM usability, and I think that was pretty horrible. Like even to the point where they admitted that a lot of their gaming material was being designed so that it wasn't just DM specific, that it was you could pay for a new upgrades, you could pay for new not pay you could buy a book that had in it new subclasses, new backgrounds, new magic items, great things that players wanted, and dungeon masters had to look through and roll their eyes and go, fuck, I don't want this in my game. Now instead of saying yes, you got to say no. Yeah, the auction houses. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh my God, are we going to see the auction houses in WotC's virtual tabletop? Maybe. They already have an example using Magic the Gathering. Yeah. Ha. Yeah, vibing off of my comment there. Yeah, you pay $4.99 to buy 300 gold coins, but the cheapest item costs 700 gold coins. And then I hate to make this a conspiracy theory. If they change the value of the gold coins away from money, then they could on the fly change the value of anything. So 499 you gets you 300 gold coins, but next month 499 might get you only 275 gold coins. They could fluctuate the value by separating the dollar amount, the actual physical money amount from the in-game purchase purchasing amount, which means that characters could walk around with gold in their chests whose value in game fluctuates because of because of the fact that the value changes on the outside of the world. Like, oh, I started 2 months ago. The value of my gold coins is more valuable than the ones you paid, like an NFT. I'm sorry, like a Bitcoin, right? Cryptocurrency. So they may make an artificial rarity of coin that you really do want to spend that, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, damn, I should have read what you had to say. Yeah, or spend 29.99 for the 2,500 gold coin pack, a money saver for sure. And when people see that 2,500 gold coin pack decreasing, it might increase their your spending. Anyway. You get the point, right? Yeah, microtransactions. Microtransactions around leveling, skins, and content are nothing new in the PC, console, mobile gaming community. Yeah. And hell, maybe could you imagine having to pay to unlock monsters and your group could fund the unlocking specific dungeons and monsters? Like this might not even be singular. This might be even a group thing. Could you imagine your Dungeons and Dragons group like, oh, we have to come together to put 2,500 gold coins for the Sphinx to open up the door to the next level of gaming, and you can't get through unless you pay for it or something. Oh man. Double M. Mike Marin. M Squared says, I feel like this entire conversation is inverted though. Okay. Tabletop RPG's relationship to Dungeons and Dragons for me has always been prescriptive, not descriptive. Hmm. I wonder. It's weird that the chat visually goes in the opposite direction of the way I can read it. It's very very odd. Um, yeah, it's not. Anyway, he says it's not. D&D is an imagination game that happens to be um, paper and pencil. It's paper. I'm assuming that's what you mean. Paper and pencil imagination games, one of which is D&D 5e, circa 2020. If you take away those aspects of D&D 5e, it's not the same game. Ooh, yeah, yeah. I think it's weird though, right? Because I many of us have great memories and feelings of pulling out the books, getting online, being in front of people, playing Dungeons and Dragons, and seeing it abused. I don't know if that's a good word to use, but seeing it ground, being ground in the gears of a machine makes us feel odd. And it's like, do we turn our back on it in this future that's coming up, or do we embrace it and say it belongs to us, not you? Which is where I'm coming up with like the separation between the the digital market and us. Like there might be a separation. Like that's I don't know if the people are going to walk around with T-shirts or baseball caps. Like that's not my D&D. You know, it's whatever. I, maybe make gaming great again or something. I, I could see that. Oh yeah. Oh god. Mm-mm-mm. Xanathars was D&D's first foray into pay to win. Think about it. You paid for more powerful race options like lizard folk, and then Tasha's for more powerful class options. Yeah, yeah. I mean, even till today, there are content creators out there that are like, where the new material released in Xanathars and what's the other one? Tasha's are not allowed in their games because what is it? Silvery Barbs is one, and Spirit Guardians is another one, and there's a Twilight Cleric. I think is it problem issue that people have had. I don't know. Yeah, it's crazy. But anyway, going back to Marin's comment, I do feel like because it's a little. I know you only have so many characters you can type in, but I do feel like you were saying, like it's inverted, right? Like where are they going to take our experience and make it virtual tabletop, or is this just an is are we going down thinking of this the wrong way, right? Like, are we saying how do I explain this? Are they just going to shred what it means to play a tabletop role playing game and just turn it into a video game? Or do they really want to try to duplicate the tabletop role playing aesthetic? Because the Unreal Engine thing that they showed looks like moving around miniatures and things. But I mean, is that really the feel? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, DMing, yep. DMing lives in our imaginations first, just like playing, right? And I mean, are they going to be able to capture air quotes the imagination? You can only imagine so much in a virtual tabletop. But I mean, does that mean you'll have to pay to modify? Right? Like, oh, I've got this great idea with these floating cities on these islands, and the PCs have to scramble across chains that link them together, and you can't do that unless you pay to get in, right? Yeah, yeah, they do have a DM. I don't know, AI DMs. Zamara mentions that that is true and correct. Anyone can be a DM given time, effort, and training, either by self or someone else teaching. Most won't put in the effort. Part two. Most won't put in effort or time needed to learn. They rather just be spoon fed entertainment and feel like they've accomplished something. Yeah, you could play, and it's easy to play on that too, right? It's pretty damn easy to do that. To go, hey, don't don't worry about the DM, don't worry about the prepping. It's all here. Just use this. You can pay for some reskinning, so it kind of feels a little bit better, that kind of thing. Mm, the Rune Lore Sage. Okay. Okay, trying to get the comment here. Mike Maris mentions, for sure it's heartbreaking for many and forces unmonetized homebrew. But I guess I'm saying I'll still be running D&D 5e 2020 in 2023 and won't be running D&D 5e 2023. I was never brewing for money. Yeah, yeah. I agree, right? Like is this the age of, like, are we going to say 5e circa, 2020, 2022, and nothing beyond? Like, it will, instead of additions, we're going to do it by year and go, oh no, I'm a 2022 5e player, right? Like, that's the year I stopped and didn't get anything else. Like, that's where my cutoff was. Apparently there's supposed to be like 4 or 5 new releases from WoTC, not virtual, I mean book wise, and we're just like, yeah. I mean, are we soured on that now? Mufa says, pretty sure they want to make the experience more like a video game so they can suck you into microtransactions. Yeah. And FOMO is a real thing. Fear of missing out on, or being left behind, right? Like, oh, the other 6 people in my gaming group have the brand new skins and I don't. You know, uh, the Rune Lord Sage says, but the most important thing to be a DM is that the person wants to be a DM. That's where the AIs come in. The AI, having AI DMs who you feed into it a ton of homebrew that they already own through the DMs Guild. You feed into it every single adventure path module or something that was ever created, plus a bunch of, like, not random things, but you put in a bunch of keywords like caves, dungeons, overland travel, castles, blah blah blah. Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, Let's see if I can understand this comment here. Just Angel's Shadow says, I think they're trying to simulate a tabletop RPG, not actually trying to bring the tabletop aspect to players virtually. Hmm. Yeah, that's a weird. I don't. That's isn't that a weird kind of like, oh, so you're making a game that simulates the tabletop, what it looks like to play on a tabletop, but it doesn't feel like you're actually playing with the tabletop experience, right? Like, it hurts the head. Because tabletop players are like, that's not what it feels like, and people are playing the game are like, but I paid $30 a month for this. It better feel like it. Subs, you made it natural. Yeah, subs say Tasha's is 5.5e. Yeah, what was it? Sly Flourish. If you ever listen to him or watch him or something, Sly Flourish is like, everyone's talking about one D&D being backwards compatible. It's like they already have material that isn't even backwards compatible already, right? If you take Tasha's and Xanathars and put them out there, plus a bunch of the UA stuff, it's like there's a bunch of stuff that's not compatible with its own game. So yeah, yeah. Mike says, my fear is that the consumer is much like water and electricity. Yep, they take the path of least resistance. Yeah, yeah. I 30 bucks a month, man, that's expensive. 30 bucks a month to not have to worry about the DM showing up or your character, the complexity of leveling up your character or something. Maybe not having to worry about someone arbitrating the rules. Is that worth 30 bucks a month or more, plus microtransactions, to not have to worry about someone else, worry about power gamers or someone stealing the spotlight, or it's all this very, all the extreme edges are shaved off, and you just get pushed into the mean. I don't know. Is that worth 30 bucks a month for the comfort of it? I don't know. Zamara, quote, humans are lazy. Give them a way to live without breathing, and they'll stop breathing. Take away that ability, and they will rather die. Zamara, 2023. Ow. Ouch. And honestly, yeah, people do that. People will threaten their own lives through path of least resistance. What it How many times have people gotten stuck in floodwaters? I know here in the Ohio Valley, Central Ohio, which it literally is a valley, and there are floodplain neighborhoods all over Ohio, and they'll have torrential rains, and the news will talk about the floodwaters and the rivers rising, and invariably people will drive through flooded streets. It doesn't matter that other people got their car stuck. I can make it, right? Instead of going, you know what, I should drive around. It's going to take me a little while. I got to go out of my way. I'd rather not even risk getting my car, being stuck in floodwaters and getting my car ruined. And you know what? Nope. People try to drive through it. See, Alex C says, I've DM'd since second edition AD&D and all through third edition, but I gotta say that Paizo writes amazing adventure paths. I don't have the time or imagination to weave an amazing story, but I can run those adventure paths. And see, there's nothing, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but could they could they use that as an impetus or fuel to go even further, and like, you know what, we can actually run the game for you, right? Little things like, um filling rooms with balanced monster encounters based on the digital footprint of the players playing. Could they already account for character conditions, paralysis, unconsciousness, blindness, deafness, things like that. Here's a strange one. Could they mute your mic or your earphones if your character is deaf and you can't hear, like you're typing a chat, like I can't hear you, right? Like, and maybe there's a little flashing thing going that mute, mic muted, character deaf, and it just flashes, or character has a certain color or something is paralyzed, and underneath the little Diaz, your character's on a little platform, and you see a thing, I don't know, a marquee that goes around it, paralyzed or paralysis encounter, just kind of spins around the bottom or spins around the top of the character or something like that. I don't know. Making it easier for you to DM, or when you're fighting 13 ghouls or something like that, right? Mm, mm, mm. Excellent. Yep. Trying to comments. Alex mentions Temple of Elemental Evil is a great tabletop simulator for CO8. I'm not familiar with. My brain's not working. Mufa. Solo play, yeah. Mentions that. Mufa says, much like video games, they are probably looking at DDB, as a gateway for downloadable content. Why is my brain not working? For GMs and players in their virtual tabletop. Want to make a better fighter? Buy the advanced martial feats pack for $14.99 on D&D Beyond. Wow, my brain just woof. There it goes. Yeah. I could they park those things behind other things? Yeah. You I bet I bet they probably would have benefited from like a virtual tabletop pack written by Matt Colville or Critical Role or Kobold Press to say, you want that new fighter subclass by these star creators, you're going to have to pay for it, and not pay a Matt Colville for their creation or something like that. Willing to pay to learn. Ooh. Okay, so Zamar says it's funny. Solo play is a thing and growing hugely. I'm trying to figure out how to do it, and I'm willing to pay to learn because I don't have enough players who will commit. Um, commit it to be the same for players who will commit to it. Be the same for players on DMs. Solo play is a huge thing, right? Like they could their if their virtual tabletop allows, say, dungeon masters to cr- for creators like us to create a virtual world and then let the AI surprise us as to what's in that world. An example, I'm trying to come up with an example. You design an aquatic adventure, but you want to play in your own aquatic adventure, but you want to be surprised about what's in it. Then maybe you don't know where the aboleths are, or the merman tribe, or the aquatic trolls that you put in there that are terrorizing everyone. Solo play as in the DM is the player. Yeah. Circle of Eight. Okay. Is a modding community for the Temple of Elemental Evil. Great question for. Okay, and I want to go to this one. Modding community for Temple of Elemental Evil video game. That game may be 20 years old and buggy as all hell released, but with their community mods, it's hella good. Wow, would they allow people to mod stuff? I don't see that. Uh Here is a great before we get out of here. Here's a great question for those who have played in older editions of D&D. How many empty rooms have you encountered in old adventures? How many empty rooms in modern adventures? A ton more empty rooms in old games than modern ones. Uh, well, empty is the wrong word for it, but we use empty as a placeholder, kind of like saying hit or miss with armor class when that's not really what we mean. Um, Empty rooms were places for us to discover what the adventure is about. So empty rooms would give us knowledge about what monsters are ahead, traps were ahead, riddles. You could find do baubles and trinkets in those empty rooms. So empty wasn't really yep or a place to rest. You needed because resting was a big deal because you couldn't some of those deep diving dungeons you couldn't get out of them very easily once you got in them. So you needed a place to rest. Yeah. So yeah. So empty rooms weren't necessarily empty in the non role playing sense. Those empty rooms were like the wizard came down here to unlock a way to summoned an elemental. The elemental got out of control, and it was just like, oh, that's why we're seeing monsters from the outer planes in this dungeon or something like that, right? Yeah, 90 Year Life says big business has always been the customer's imagination. I don't know if this will hold. Oh, it will fit. Okay. It's always been a customer's imagination as a big problem. They will try every trick in the book to hijack your mind and switch it off and get you buying things you do not need. Oh, yes. Yeah. That's you well know because of your comment, that's not something specifically Dungeons and Dragons, right? Like people they want us to buy things. What's a good thing? Keurig coffee makers is a perfect example of that, right? Big business wants us to buy something, a coffee maker. Well, we're too lazy to take the coffee, measure it out, pour it into the filter, put the filter into the machine, close it down, put some water in it, and watch it brew when we can buy a K cup. So now we need to buy the new machine, which is the K cup. It puts the cup in there, and now other industries make the cups with things in them to put the cup in the machine to hold it down to make the coffee or the tea or whatever, right? Like maybe that's not a one to one, but it is a true thing now. So that places now have to switch over and buy a brand new coffee maker because everybody else is using K cups. Uh, mm, 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 mm. Random tables, empty rooms. Are okay. So two more comments, and then I got to get out of here. Druden says, she says, I designed my own system so it can be played GM-less, but I am not going for random tables since I am not interested in simulation style game, but go for a narrative focused one. I he, I love random tables. I just don't randomize them, which is weird. I don't know why. Random tables are like bullet points for me. So if I read a really good random table, I go, "Oh, I know what this is about." He who will not be named used to talk about loving random tables. That random tables equals setting material in a very simplified form. So if you make a really good random table, and when I say good, that your random table tells a story without using paragraphs and narrative language, a good random table will tell your story for you. So, yeah. Michael says empty rooms, as in monsterless rooms, should be 50%. Otherwise, players assume population. You can still have clues, minor treasure, puzzles, story hooks, etc. in empty rooms. And as we mentioned before Rune with the Sage, uh, Rune Lore Sage mentions, of course, you got to have a safe space too. Close the door. Use one of those climbing pitons or whatever they're called, pitons, pythons. I don't know how to pronounce it. Anyway, you put them into the wedge them under the door and try to relax in there and gain back that one hit point per day. You guys. Anyway, guys, as you know, there should be we have a Discord, and you guys who are more brilliant than I am can go into the Discord and talk. Um, it is a great place for you guys to accomplish what you need to do. It's getting a little late. I need to open up in the Discord a place for creators to get together to talk out, hash out, like was mentioned before, pollinate your ideas out there and things like that. Yeah. Um, it's it's the thing, right? Mike, stop. K Cup's analogy explains why people are scared of manual stick shift vehicles now. Why learn when the manufacturer does the work for you? Yeah, 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 yeah. No, no, don't do that. Please don't. Okay. So John Wright says we survived Lorraine Williams trying to destroy D&D as we know it, and we will survive Cynthia Williams trying to do the same thing. I've heard. Listen, the answer yes. The answer is yes. Understand. I think it. We now are like we're doing our own little deep dive into the empty rooms, right? We're like adventurers and we're going, so what motivates? How does the Williams creature act? What does it eat? How does it how does it live? What types of food does it bring back to its nest? Right? And we're basically like comparing notes on the lore of the Williams, the Williamses, the 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 Williamsoids. uh I don't want to call them creatures. I want to call them like monsters or something, right? And we're busy trying to figure out like how do we navigate and avoid the creep because we may not be high level, but as a large group we can still get a bunch of pikes and pitchforks and try to run the monster off and hope like Paizo and Cobalt Press and the rest of those guys are who are higher level adventurers than us. Yep. Let's see if I can pronounce this right before we get out of here. All right, here we go. Death's Angel Shadow. OGL 1.3. Nobody with the last name of Williams shall be an executive at Wizards of the Coast. Thou shalt not, though as, though as thy name is Williams's, they shall not nor ever will be, uh, knighted upon thy throne. Oh man. Yeah. Yeah, I see. Yeah. The it's so weird. It's like, come on, guys, come on. You could have actually before you put out these kind of things, you could have sat down and talked to some people in the industry. Like really talk to them. That's all it would take is like a 5 minute Zoom call, and you would have been like, oh, yeah, I saw your comment, Mike. I didn't want to put it up there because I know you didn't mean that. Is it Chris? Is Chris Cal? Ko? Cal? Is it pronounced? I thought I've heard it pronounced like cow, not COW, but anyway, yeah. And the Williamses. I have learned the magic spells from the Williamses. Please anoint me and be to become another Williams instead of the red wizards of Thay. It's like it's like the evil corpse of the Williamses and the cows. Yeah, they're it's so effed up. And I still wonder like why did they have to burn the bridge to do what they wanted to do? Like cow. That's what I was thinking. Like cow in terms of chocolate. Yeah, cow. That's what I thought. Not ko. Favorite random table for me? It's AD&D's second edition Wild Magic Surge table in the Tome of Magic. Rolled a 100 on it once. I don't know that. You know what? I think we need new Wild Surge Magic. I wish Dungeons and Dragons on the norm had that in there, but oh well. But anyway, guys, I got to get out of here. We've gone 20 minutes well past where we need to do it. Thank you very much for being part of the show. And I really appreciate you guys. The I'm glad we have a safe space for you guys to say what you want, do what you want, express your frustration, express your intelligence and everything. And I want that to be this place. And you guys made it that way. So everybody out there, have a great day. I don't have outro music. I'll try to finagle how Restream allows me to do it. I'm a little bit of a Luddite. Guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. I hope the audio issues were far better today. It looks like my stream has been on the green the whole time. I love it. We had to get a person to come in here and check it out and stuff like that. Hopefully that got fixed, but I'm probably going to upgrade to high speed anyway. Have a great day, everybody. Have a great one. We do have links to a Discord. Unfortunately, I work like 75-hour weeks, so it's difficult for me to be at the much better audio. Yeah, I got my Rode podcaster going. I've got my pantyhose in front. I hardlined everything in and redid it. So, and even tried to mute the clickety click of my mouse, which is underneath my microphone, which I know you guys heard it a little bit, but just a little bit. Anyway, guys, have a great one. I will see thee later. I appreciate it. Love you guys. Bye.